views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hello, everybody. I know that I have some students of mine, probably from my online classes, because I don't recognize your faces. Let me start by saying this. Why did I wanted to write a book like this if I was doing Latino and women? I was like having this crisis with my own identity. Like sometimes people say, "Oh, you are not that black." You know, you are not black because I'm light skinned, you know, not that light skinned. And the other thing was more important was all the things that I was reading about Dominicans in here, some intellectuals here in the United States, they started to write about the Dominican Republic. And the thing that I read were like, the Dominican don't know. They don't know when they believe that the independence was in 1844, but there was an argument there, you know, doubting our independence. The other thing is that all Dominicans are racist and all Dominicans hate Haitians, or Dominicans believe that they're white and Dominicans believe they're Christian. So this is the idea that many people have of Dominicans. We are retrograde. We deny our heritage, our roots. Because when you see me, you know that I have African blood. So when I say I'm white, I'm Catholic, I'm Hispanic, and I don't like these uncivilized, barbaric Haitians, you know, like if I said that to you, Professor Monch, you're going to laugh at me. See? So we are a bunch of retrogrades. And still, that's the idea. So I decided to, it was a curiosity, personal curiosity, to find out what was behind that, because my background wasn't like that. My great-grandmother lived in a place called Sam Angola. You know, Sam Angola. So there was some Angola people there. She was very black. She was the blackest, you know, person I ever, you know, met. She was black as night, a solid black. My grandmother never told me I am not black. The opposite. From the side of my mother's father, those women were so strong that didn't want their children to marry white women. And that was, you know, like when I was telling that story to people, I said, no, that's not true. See? So from curiosity, I advanced to a more academic approach to the problem. So I went to the archives and I observed people. There is nothing more important to understand a society than observe. You know? Stand up in a corner and the thing you're gonna see there, you can write books, you can write articles, even if it isn't from the racial perspective. So since I speak like a crazy person, I'm going to go to my PowerPoint to give you some ideas of the book, where it comes from, and also my findings, okay? So the methodology that I used was basically history and ethnography. You know, the archive and the ethnography. And ethnography can extend, you know, from anthropology to sociology to cultural studies. That will be, you know, the way you look at that, you know, data that you collect. So I went to the archive in Santo Domingo and to the archive in Seville, Spain. And basically, most of that information I gathered through the internet because many of those documents are digitalized. So you can find them there. There are others that you have to go physically to the archive to see. And the ethnography, I did observation in buses traveling from the capital city to border towns. What I did was I get into these buses full of Dominicans and Haitians that they're going to be together for 5 hours, sometimes 6 hours, and I wanted to see the interaction of both. I wanted to encounter that hate that we have toward Dominicans. And I did participant observation in the south of the Dominican Republic. And the south is very important because the last plantations were there. When that president, Jean-Pierre Boyer, crossed to the Spanish side and unified the island under the Republic of Haiti, that was, the last moment of slavery in the Dominican Republic, in what is today the Dominican Republic, that we don't talk about abolition. So the South is important because when Boyer abolished slavery, all these people in the South became free, basically in the South. So that's the importance of that region. Okay. So the findings. What I found, first of all, was that there are overlapping imaginaries in the Dominican Republic. And it's very complex. That's why people who go there and read books and walk through La Calle El Conde or go to the colonial city and have 2 beers and then they take a Jeep, 4-wheel drive, and they drive to the south or they take, the international highway, they don't understand. They don't understand what's going on. So they believe that everybody have the same mentality, but we have overlapping racial imaginaries. One that continue with the colonial, values, and the other one discontinue those colonial values. So in the middle, you can have, some great, spaces there. So the continuity of colonialism. So the colonial plantation masters, plus rich mulattoes, plus the Catholic Church hierarchy, we can say that during the colonial times. Then, 19th century, the descendant of a slave master, plus rich mulattoes, plus the Catholic Church, plus the United States. We have to plus the United States because the United States was very important during the 19th century, investigating Haiti and using the Dominican Republic to otherize Haiti. So that's important too. Then, through the times, you have insecure mulattoes, plus the Catholic Church hierarchy, plus an invisible oligarchy that you can point, like Jose Rodriguez is from the oligarchy. It's an invisible group of people, a bunch, like a handful of people that we don't know who they are. So the exponent of the official racial discourse that defines apparently Dominicanidad as an Indo-Hispanic race, is uncivilized in opposition to barbaric Haiti. See? So this is what almost everybody believes we are. But this is the official imaginary. Official imaginary. That now is carried out basically by those insecure mulattoes. Let's take a look at like what is going on at present time. The cardinal believes that he's white. Take a close look at his face. He's a mulatto. The president, a mulatto. The former president, a mulatto. Joaquin Balaguer, a mulatto. And you go, and you go, and you go. And if you can see it from their faces, you just have to go and investigate where they come from. See? Like Joaquin Balaguer's mother was the first cousin of Lili, that black president at the end of the 19th century, Ulysses Heró, also known as Lili. Okay? So everybody has a past, a black past in the Dominican Republic. Who doesn't have it is lying. The burlesque others. So when you accept, when all these people writing about the Dominican Republic accept that we are a monolithic nation of racial retrogrades, amounts to the creation of a unique Caribbean order. This Dominican order both exists beyond and sidesteps the global order constructed by European power and superiority to embrace the world's many powerless, inferior, and racialized colonial orders. The construction of the R as a nation of retrogrades is a burlesque otherization, depicting a original othering. Depicting a people who believe themselves to be superior, mimicking Europeans' original others. So what I mean with that, I put it just the way I wrote it, because sometimes I have problem explaining that. What is the meaning of that? I was otherized by Europeans. I was the other by European. You know, some very far cousin of mine came in the boat, crossed the Atlantic. And when that person crossed the Atlantic, that person was a slave. So it was a merchandise. It was the other, different, inferior. But that label was given to me by European people. Now I take the same description and I said, no, I am white, I am Catholic. So what I'm doing is mimicking that original otherization. So that's what I call all these mulattoes, all this official discourse, all these people, you know, labeling and passing judgment on Dominican burlesque others. And this is something very important. You know what is important? Because we have been in isolation from the rest of the Caribbean. In the schools, they don't teach you what is the Caribbean. You know Puerto Rico and Cuba. I remember when I graduated in La UAS, in the public university in Santo Domingo, I got a job, and in that job I have to travel around the Caribbean, and the first place that I have to go was St. Lucia. I didn't know where St. Lucia was, and I was a very good student, excellent student. So I was looking for St. Lucia in Europe. See? We don't know the Caribbean. They don't teach us about the Caribbean. So we are in isolation. Sometimes you go to certain Caribbean island and you identify yourself as Dominican, they're going to be looking at you from 2 points of view. A prostitute or somebody that believes is white. I'm just inviting anybody to take a Dominican passport and travel in Latin America. I don't want to tell you anything more. You have to experience that. Or somebody that believes is white, and somebody that hates Haitians. And with the Haitian crisis now, it's even worse. So besides, it's a psychological anomaly. I'm white, and every time I look at the mirror, I see something else. That's awful. How can you live with that? Okay. Unfortunately, not all Dominicans are like that. That's the official imaginary. An official imaginary that was, socialized into Dominican through many means, many social agents, the school, the church, the reproduction of your parents', ideas and values. However, there are another narratives, there are other stories, opaque. And here I use the image of Edward Glissant when he talks about transparency and opacity. Transparency is the bottom of the mirror, I mean the surface of the mirror, is what you see. And in the case of the Dominican Republic, what you see at the top, very top of the mirror, you see the ideas of that burlesque order. But at the bottom of the mirror, you have opacity, something obscure, stories that have never been said, but they are willing to jump and take over the transparency. In doing this, I went into those opaque moments in Dominican history, and I found this. I found a subversive racial imaginary that is rooted in anti-colonial resistance. And I'm going to explain that later. Since the very moment of the European arrival, Caunabo was throwing, arrows to Columbus. And then he organized, he mobilized the entire island against the Spanish. Guarionex was, a Taino that organized and actually attacked the Spanish in Mocha. That's when the Virgin of Our Lady of Mercy show appeared to defend the Spanish. We still, we go, that's a sacred place in the Dominican Republic, that celebration of that specific Virgin. So we can exemplify this subversive racial imaginary with insurrections that follow during and after the Haitian Revolution. Dominicans are excluded from those narratives. Dominicans are completely, like the Haitian Revolution happened, and it happened in Mars or Jupiter, and we never realized. And people, that were slaves in the Spanish side didn't know what was going on. That's a lie. You go into history, and you're going to see so many insurrections. Even at the moment that 1791, I believe, was the moment when the Haitian Revolution started. In 1793, 1794, slaves were insurrecting in the Dominican Republic, killing monsters and burning fields. And the judge, when they were taken to be, prosecuted or accused, that is something that nobody cares about those papers, and they're there. And the situation in the capital city when they were going to be executed, the leaders of that insurrection that was led by a woman. The role of blacks and mulatto in the creation of the Dominican Republic in 1844. We believe that the Dominican Republic became independent because they hated Haiti. But if you look at Juan Pablo Duarte, one of the leaders of that movement, you're going to see that he wrote letters, like exalting the Haitian Revolution, saying, I admire Haitians because they have achieved that. But we have developed our own national sentiment, and we want to do the same. We want to have our nation. And who were the people in that movement? Duarte, that was a descendant of a Spanish guy, but Sanchez, that was as dark as my great-grandmother, and Mella, who was a mulatto. There you have it, the Dominican Republic. But these people didn't last in power. They were destituted by the insecure mulattoes. That's a very complicated history, and I don't want to go in there. The War of Restoration. Those insecure burlesque mulatto actually gave the country again to Spain in 1861. So Spain took control of the nation. It became, again, a Spanish nation. Who revolted against that? Mulattoes and blacks. Who are the main generals of that war? Blacks. Luperón, have you seen, if there is any Dominican or you know about Dominican history, have you seen the image of Gregorio Luperón? And what was that? Because Spain still hasn't abolished slavery, Puerto Rico and Cuba. So they defeated that army because they didn't want to be, a slave again. They have a hymn, a song. And in that song, they said, we're going to fight and we're going to hang whites. Something that nobody knew. We believe that the only people who killing whites were the Haitians. We also did. The music and its instruments. If you take merengue, for instance, and you take the piano off, you take the guitar off, you take the accordion off, you take all these instruments, you take, the synthesizer, what do you have? A drum and what? Drum and guira. You can play merengue with the Dominican drum and a guira. And what are these instruments? What is Spain or Europe in those instruments? The guira is from the Taino, and the Dominican drum was an invention of Dominicans. It was, like a creolization of the drum that they knew from Africa, or probably they knew from Europe. It's a creolization instrument, musical instruments. We have instruments in the Dominican Republic that you can trace anywhere else but Africa, West Africa. This is the canoita. The canoita is an instrument played in Villamella, and the palos. The palos are authentic Dominican. You can find palos in Haiti. You cannot find palos in Cuba. You cannot find palos anywhere but West Africa. The linkage to Africa. And it's not that people don't know that. I went to a community, that community used to be a Maroon village, that after Boyer abolished slavery became, like a rural community. So I went there and I was asking this woman, but this is very secretive. It's like you have to be, they have to, I have to touch your hands and talk about your husband and your children in order for them to open up. So I sat in a box. The woman was sat in another box outside a grocery store. Of course, I invited her for a beer. So I started to criticize Dominican beer, and I said, Dominican beer doesn't taste the way it tasted before. Oh yeah, this is, I better drink a glass of water rather than this, light president. So we kept talking and talking, and I said, we were also in front of the church where they celebrate the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit is a bundle and a dove, St. John the Baptist. Okay. So I started to ask her, and I said, no. The priest has control of everything here. We don't know anything. Sometimes, like people, they do stuff, outside. So I kept talking about her grandchildren, Finally, not to make you the story very long, that woman told me, yeah, the palos were given to us by our ancestor, the slave, the Africans. So it's not that they don't know where these palos are coming from, it's that they don't want to tell anybody. No me da la gana de decírtelo. This is mine, That's the only thing that I have. That what is lasted, from my freedom, because now we are poor, now our land was taken from us, so this is mine. That's the way I, gathered, or understood that information. The religion practiced by millions of Dominicans, voodoo, Dominican voodoo, with the cosmology and with the pantheon. You go to any of these communities on Tuesday, what I have in the book, I actually trace a Tuesday in the community of Najayo from, like very rural areas where you don't have, you have to walk, no highways, nothing, no roads. And from there to, I went like this in the community. I started in the mountain, and I walked until the beach. I traced that Tuesday. So Tuesday is the day that you actually consult the horse or el caballo. That meaning that's the day you go to the person who is, possessed by one of these deities, and the deity is going to tell you something that you want to know. See? And that's done in regular basis. The palo drumming, the festivities, for many different reasons, there is a festivity. The palo drumming, the first time that I went to a palo drumming, thing, I believe I was, in Africa. There were 3 black men without shirt on top of the drums, playing those drums, and the women dancing like snakes. Very far from Haiti. Very far from Haiti. As a matter of fact, the worshipper of the serpent came first to the Spanish colony. So there are many things that we can, I don't want to go into that, but if you've read the book, I make linkages with Haiti and how many of these practices actually emerged the Spanish colony and in the Maroon villages. The Maroon villages that were in the west side of the island. When the island was divided, those Maroon villages were there. See? And they informed and being reinforced by the new slave coming to the French colony. So the religion is fascinating. That's a fascinating, topic. And the identification of Dominican is a strong component. There are many Dominicans that understand their African component. They don't deny that. So this is what I call the subversive, imaginary. The opaque story, the Maroon. You know that the island of the Hispaniola is I don't want to be the first, that doesn't have any, but I'm going to say it. It's the first to have African enslaved people. African enslaved came officially, they were before, but officially in 1503, that the governor, Nicolas de Ovando, was ordered by the crown, by the king, to bring to the island. We were the one to experience maroonage. Richard Price is a guy who writes about maroonage. He says that the first maroon actually jumped from the boat in the Ovando, when Ovando was bringing all these enslaved people. He jumped from the boat and he grabbed one Taino and they run to the mountains. The first sugar plantations, the first mines, the first colonial city. You walk in the colonial city of Santo Domingo right now, and the colonial city of Santo Domingo is so beautiful. But when you walk, I was walking once, and my sister told me, do you know that you're walking in the blood of Tainos and Africans? They built that beautiful colonial city, beautiful. The Dominican racial component was the same as it is today at the end of the 16th century. So there is no way that we can say that we are black because Haiti. No way. We're black because we have slaves. And we're black because those slaves mixed with the Spanish and the Indian, and we have what we have today. Basically mulatto, blacks, and a very, thing there of white people. What we know about Tainos today, we know because the Africans share that information with the rest of us. How do we learn to do cassave? Cassave is a flatbread in the Dominican Republic made out of yuca. We learn to make cassave because the Tainos taught the Africans. Chacá, that's another corn thing. Chen, another corn meal that was taught to the Africans by the Tainos. The food, the words, the tradition, the religion, musical instruments, we have that because the Africans, because they get together. Even Gaga, Gaga is a music from Haiti, but it's a Maroon music, it's a Maroon festival. And in that festival, the traditional, Gaga, they said, for instance, we are doing this Gaga because the Taino, and they mentioned the names, and blah, 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 blah. When the island was divided, the French colony wasn't there. before the division. So how they learned that? Marunach lasted for centuries. For centuries. There was this chronicler, some of these white people that come from Europe and they go around the island, that he said he found two major big Maroon villages in the 1800s. And one of them, that movement, happened again with Liborio Mateo at the beginning of the century. And the history of abolition, what I learned is very interesting. People are talking about abolition in the Dominican Republic, this sector talking about that, talking about Marunach, going to the government and demanding the October 12th, the date of Hispanidad is changed to the Maroon, or black, or mulatto. So, when slavery was abolished in the Dominican Republic? 1900s? Slavery was abolished in the Dominican Republic in 1801. January 25, 26, or 27, we don't know the date. And was when Toussaint Louverture crossed to the Spanish side to unify the island under the government of France. That was the first thing he did. He abolished slavery. Slavery came back because the French, when they run away from Haiti after the Haitian Revolution, they went to the Spanish side that was under the French rule, and they reinstalled slavery. And slavery remained like that until 1822, when Boyer once again abolished slavery. We Dominicans, we hate Haitians. I imagine the happiness of these people when they were free by Boyer. In 1844, after the creation of the Dominican Republic, when they were dealing with the Constitution in San Cristobal, a group of black people actually insurrected and said that if they don't say in the Constitution that slavery was abolished, they were going to fight. So they have to run to San Cristobal, in horses, and they included, I believe it's in the second article of that Constitution, that slavery is abolished once and for all. So, slavery was important. Slavery was important, and abolition has a very important weight in Dominican history. The Haitian sentiment that, we have this anti-Haitian sentiment for many, 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 many years, for many, many reasons. But now, what's going on with Haiti right now? Divided the nation. Divided the Catholic Church. There are priests there working with Haitian refugees. The cardinal actually tried to expel Serrano, that's a priest, from the Jesuits. The cardinal is no longer the cardinal. The Pope actually removed him. The media is divided. Intellectuals are divided. People are divided. Not everybody wants Haitians out. And many people understand there are two things going on with the Haitians. Haitian immigration that is completely uncontrolled, and the government is benefiting from that because they're bringing labor force to the Dominican Republic. And the other one are the Haitians born in the Dominican Republic, of one parent or two parents of Dominican descent. Those people, they're having a hard time because they want to strip the nationality. So people, they march, they protest, they do, events. So you see that not everybody is into, Haiti. I hope, what is the name of that dictator that we have? Don't say it. I wish is here, so he has the balls to kill all of them. Not everybody thinks like that. And I believe this is the last one, so we can, I'm talking too much. Okay. So this is my last one. This is ongoing resistance to the official discourse. While these people are doing that, Haitian and Dominicans are getting married. Many Dominicans are bilingual in the border. Many Dominicans do business, they're relative with Haitian people. These stories are apparently at the margins of the nation, in ongoing cultural resistance to the establishment and narrative, to the official establishment and narrative. Cimarronaje remains concealed, yet at the same time, it is revealed across the island every single day. It continues to be central to the creation of difference, still moving the nation. Thank you. There is a question in the back, I believe.
So the question I have for you is in a way, so like for example, considering like the work that you did with the studying of like the borders of Haiti and DR, right? But at the same time, trying to look at it in contemporary times of how these imaginaries are constructed, and the forces that are behind such construction of imaginaries, right? And then from there, it's like, how do we then analyze that, understand it, and then how to like resolve those contradictions, right? Because it seems to be that it stems to be like a historical issue, right? Where you have Dominicans on the island who, on one hand, are denouncing like their African roots and the blackness, and on the other, like you said, the subversive, those who have some type of grasp and understanding to those roots, right? So you have two narratives compete, like just contradicting each other. But again, it's like, where does such narrative come from? Through what discourse, through what forces, whether it's like on the island itself, the Dominican Republic, or whether it's external forces?
You mean the subversive imaginary, or both?
Of the construction of such imaginaries within DR.
Well, actually, people talking about that, they are all Dominicans. I can say that I am the first one to talk about the African influence in Dominican life, in Dominican race, in Dominican society, and Dominican culture. There have been, like a tradition since the 1960s of people writing about that. The imaginary, I'm putting that name, to the things I found. But it's very similar to things that people are doing there. Here in the United States, people don't do that. The only person that I know that have done something on blackness in a serious manner is Silvio Torres Ayant. And the other person who have done, like a serious work is Candelario, Gineta Candelaria. But in the Dominican Republic, people know that. How that clash or contradiction is going to end, I don't know. The important thing is that we are, we can say it's an utopia, but we are one step, probably two steps, toward that utopia. The Dominican Republic can be, the nation that it really is, and we can get rid of all these, burlesque, people. But I wish. But it depends on us. It depends on the activists, the politicians, I am not, an activist yet. Over? Uh-huh.
My question is regarding your second sentence, which is currently on the board regarding the Cimarronaje. According to the sentence, it is exhibited daily across the island. What is the official governmental stance or narrative regarding these daily exhibitions? How do they explain away and define these cultural exhibitions?
Oh, so probably they're doing the same thing. And they, they are denying something that they are doing. They are listening to merengue. They like, the sound of the Dominican drum. They love the sound of the guira. See? Some of them go on Tuesday to be consulted by, Santa Marta, San Miguel, They're eating sancocho o pastel en hoja. See? It's there. It's there. It's denied, but it's there. So now, every time that I go to the Dominican Republic and I listen to somebody talking about, a black whiteness and against Haiti, and they're eating sancocho, I laughed, when they actually the men shave their head so they can be the coarse hair can be detected, and one of my son wear like a big afro, and he was expelled from the house because he was a tigre. Take that tigre out of my house. He was laughing. Who's taking me out of this house? A bunch of N-words. That's what he said. But he said it in English. They understand what he was saying. So it's there. It's everywhere. It's the way we talk. It's the way we react. It's the way we act. In some, like the people of the South are so different that you can actually see that cimarronaje in the blood. The way they talk to you, sometimes they don't say what they have in their mind. You never know what they're talking about, So that's, they have this attitude, that's part of the cimarronaje. That's what I'm talking about. I have another question, and I believe that's the last one. Yes?
You said you traveled to the Dominican Republic. Did you ever travel to Haiti to see what is their income, what do they think about this? I guess ignorance of the Dominican.
Yeah, I go to Haiti many times. The last time that I tried to cross the border, there was somebody there. They have, like these huge fences now. You have to ask for permission. The guy believed that I was acting like a man. He said, "You're not going to cross the border. Cross the border and you will see." I was in Pedernales trying to go to Asampit. But the idea is that in the border is, and then somebody came to me and said, "That's very dangerous. They're killing Dominicans there. They killed a Dominican the other day." And you go to the newspaper, that's a lie. Now they're building this, huge, like coat of arms in each of these posts. And they painting, black and, white and blue and whatever. That's nationalistic, sentiment. And on the other side, you find a lot of poverty, more poverty than in the Dominican Republic. But at the same time, you see, like people are so nice, they're very nice. And they don't have that burden that we have. We have a burden. They don't have that. That's what I noticed, Okay, so I believe, okay, another one? Yes?
What did you find of the Dominican in Washington Heights?
In Washington Heights, we find the same thing that you find in the Dominican Republic. The thing is that some people believe, there are some Dominicans there that believe that we become blacks when we come to the United States. That's a lie. Some Dominicans come here and they live in Washington Heights and they never leave Washington Heights. They can come to the Bronx or they can go by a Macy's, but they never confront, that clash, racial clash here in the United States. So I don't believe in that. They continue to believe what they believe in the Dominican Republic, that they're white and Haitians are the devil, etc., etc. Other people in Washington Heights, basically second generation, that they have had this, interaction. They have learned about American history. They have, actually come to college. They are joining, black sororities and whatever, and they start to have, a different identity. Probably they come with that from the Dominican Republic, but it's very complex. I can, simplify, the fact. I have, one of my interviewers, one person that I interview is a young girl from here. She's Dominican American, and she grew up believing that, straightening her hair, and she believed what her mother was saying to her until she went to college. She got a scholarship, I don't know where, And there she started to realize that she was more closer to African American, whatever. And, you know, she left, you know, all that, and now she's wearing an afro. And she's conscious of, you know, whoever she is. Okay? Mm-hmm.
So one thing that you mentioned was like that nationalistic attitude, right? That Dominicans can have. So what would your thoughts be in terms of again, like within the construction of the imaginaries, how much for example, a nation itself, like the Dominican Republic, how that a nationalistic attitude or can foster these racial like antagonistic relationships that exist between like Dominicans and Haitians, right?
Nationalism is very linked to Nazism.
Yes.
So if you are, you know, like these people, now in the movement, the nacionalistas, they put a C in the middle. When you are so patriotic, you are so nationalistic, you defend, and when you have the background, the roots of being, you know, superior, what do you want to do? To suppress the inferior, see? And that's, you know, most of this, you know, official discourse and identification is opposed to Haiti. We are what Haiti is not from them. So it's very dangerous. That nationalism is extremely dangerous because people who have that feeling, they can kill. And they haven't killed Haitians. They have, you know, hanged, you know, few of them. They have been harassing Haitians in the Dominican Republic, burning their houses, you know, and they haven't done much because the international community. And times have changed. And people from Dominican Republic are protecting, you know, many of these people. But I know that some people there, you know, with this incendiary nacionalismo can, you know, can be very, very dangerous. Okay, people, thank you so much.
I just wanted to
yeah.
thank you so much, and I think that the testament to the discussion afterward is an indication of how powerful your work is and how important. Thank you for being here, and thank you all for your questions.
Thank you for being here.
Welcome everybody, we are open. I'm the Dr. Bob Lee from 107.5 WBLS. You can catch me on there each and every night right after the Quiet Storm. You can catch me right here on Open, 10 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 10 o'clock. Let's just call it on the 10s and then just keep it tuned. And we got you covered like a blanket, okay? I'm out in the community and we're all over the place because we are now open.
If you want to stay in the know about the latest happenings en español, check out Diálogo Abierto, BronxNet's own Spanish show, Wednesdays 6:30 p.m. on Channel 67. The latest in news, arts, culture, politics, and what's going on in your neighborhood. Diálogo Abierto, the best way to stay connected in Spanish. See you there. Te esperamos.
Hi, I'm David Lesh, legal correspondent to the morning show Open. If you have a legal question that you'd like me to answer, please send me an email at davidlesh@bronxnet.org, and I will address it on our Ask Your Lawyer segment. Every Monday
Monday night at 9, we talk to the borough's movers and shakers about the latest in Bronx politics, education, healthcare, arts and culture, and literally any and everything that's important to the people of the Bronx. There's a reason why Bronxites have been turning to Bronx Talk for more than 20 years, because Bronx Talk is about you and me, the people of the Bronx. So we'll see you Monday night at 9.
Traveling from a small town in Michigan, this multi-talented artist came to New York for one mission: to take over our music industry to the next level. Please allow me to introduce you to Petra.
So young, take your life for a test ride. Feel free, stop breathing from the inside. It's a big world, but I'm a big girl. Suffocate and lock me into
This classical trained powerhouse started her career in a small town in Michigan. But at the tender age of 16, she packed her bags and came to the big city in pursuit of a dream.
I knew when I was 5, probably, that I was supposed to be a singer. I was supposed to make music. So I guess I spent a lot of my childhood just dedicating time to learning how I was going to do that. And then once I knew how I was going to get to New York City and that I was ready, I just went for it. So 16, I took a one-way plane ticket to New York City, and I lived in Brooklyn with like my family friends and just kind of try to find my way. And it took a while because New York City is kind of a different vibe a little bit than Michigan, which is where I'm from. So I don't know, it just was a risk, and that's a risk, like risks pay off sometimes, I guess. Like,
What your parents thought about that decision?
they're so supportive of me. Like, even sometimes when I'm sitting in my room, just feel like the world's over, I call my mom, like, Mom, I'm dying, like, I hate this, like, I want this too, it's awful day. Like, she's like, no, this is what you're supposed to do. So to have parents that tell you and support you at what you do, it's amazing.
What inspired you in creating your music, your beats?
Anything. Like, I listen to everything from pop and piano, Alicia Keys, to like smooth jazz radio, like when I'm doing my homework. And then I'll listen to, you know, hip hop and classic New York City music. So I guess just hearing all the different sounds in my days and stuff, and just using my environment, I guess, to inspire me, I create music that's different and, I don't know, whatever I'm feeling all the time.
As her career grows, so does her fans. Based in with that, Petra takes on a responsibility to be the role model for them, which is why she teams up with healthy living organizations like Pretty Girl Sweats in order to help young girls live healthier lives.
Pretty Girl Sweat stands for empowering young women to just be healthy, and I'm kind of like a fitness freak. Also, Nth Degree, like I'm a spokesperson for them as well. Amazing drink. Obviously, everyone knows I'm obsessed with my sports drinks, and like anything athletic related, I'm always in the gym. So to be able to kind of incorporate my music and then fitness, I never expected this to happen, but it's kind of cool. Like I'm happy to be able to be a part of an organization that just stands for loving your body enough to be healthy, you know? So it's exciting for me.
On the new sound, Petra's newest track title, These Walls, peels back to a new layer to her more emotional side, as well as giving her fans a glimpse in her past with a heart-filled music video.
Learn a lot more about me that they probably didn't know. It's a very personal video. I tend to cry whenever I listen to the song. Whenever I play the song, it's written about my mother. It's about going through some things, but like trying to keep your outside strong so you don't hurt someone you love, you know? So my story, like trying to keep, even being away from home and all this new stress and changes and everything flashing before me, staying strong and keeping it real, and like trying to like let my mom, no, I'm okay, Mom, like I got it. Even though, you know, sometimes you just need to like call your mom, you need to let it out. So I just try to be completely honest with this video. Crying, laughing, it was completely emotionally draining because like, you see everything from birth and I don't know, just like seeing you with your dad being tickled and stuff. It's just it's so weird to think that I'm here now, but that's the concept of the video. Is kind of my growth to where I am now, and also a dedication to my mom, just saying thank you for like everything.
Petra's years of piano training separates her from the pack, as well as making her the perfect teacher, even instructing me on how to play her new song. So Petra, I have no idea how to play the piano, but I think it's the most amazing instrument that we have.
Can you teach me? I'm gonna teach you the beginning of these walls, okay?
Okay.
Watch this. So, okay. You see how, try to memorize the notes that I'm touching right now. Okay. So you're gonna go. Just back and forth. With your right hand, so try that. Yeah. Try to get the right. All right, there we go. There's your right hand. So now with your left hand. And then you're gonna go down. Try that.
Wait, I got those already.
So right here.
Right here,
yeah,
back
and you're
and
gonna start
forth.
this one right there.
Okay, so.
All at the same time. And hold this one.
When it comes to this artist and her music, the sky is the limit. This is Hanno Evangelista for Harmonious Beats.
And I find myself building up these walls that are breaking me down, 'cause I can't get out and no one can hear me. And you seem to miss me too. I agree, these walls were never meant for me.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund Reading.
Why do you not get me?
I do. This is what it feels like for kids with learning and attention issues. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.